Hi folks, welcome to another TBR selection video. I'm going to be choosing my TBR for next month, for May 2025. And as usual, I should be deploying the bingo balls of fate and the decision dice of destiny in order to help me choose which shelves I'm going to be picking books from and then which books on those shelves I'm going to choose. Let's hope the reading gods smile upon me this coming month. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. Let's do the vintage shelves first. Shelf 9 and shelf 3. Right, so this is shelf 9 and I think I would like to read, let's think, King David's Spaceship. That's a sort of prequel to The Moat in God's Eye, I think, so, or at least set in the same world. And then the Anubis Gates meant to be very good. What about the Chalk Giants? The short stories, I think. Oh, now that I've read The Time Machine and The War of the Worlds, I could probably go with the Space Machines. That means that's 4. Okay. Chimera, Mary Rosenblum. That's on the Broderick and DeFilippo list. And then... actually, what about Unto Leviathan? That I'd like to read. So that's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome. Let's see what the Dice of Destiny have in store for shelf 9. Number 4. Okay, so it is not King David's Spaceship or the Anubis Gates or the Chalk Giants or Unto Leviathan or Chimera, but it is The Space Machine by Christopher Priest. Any time with Christopher Priest is a good time. I think this is sort of like a mash-up sequel type thing between The Time Machine and War of the Worlds, I think. Let me see. Well, I've read the obvious Orson Scott cards, and now where's that other book gone? That one was recommended to me. So there's that one. I've got Down Below Station I'd really like to read. I don't fancy any Jack Chalker. I wouldn't mind reading these at some point for nostalgia's sake. I really enjoyed those when I was a kid. No. No Man's Land. Yeah, No Man's Land. Some reason that 3. What about some Edmund Cooper? The one that I'd like to read is, where's it gone? Seahorse in the Sky. I've heard it's meant to be good. I don't think I'm quite ready to tackle Dahlgren yet, and I've read I've got 2 copies of the Einstein Intersection. Well, I certainly don't need both of those. One of those can go. Let's see which one looks better. I think I prefer that one. I've just had a bit of Greg Egan, and I don't know if I can face another, or Philip Jose Farmer for that matter. So I don't think I've ever read the Andromeda Strain. I've certainly seen the movie, but I don't think I read the book. And what about In the Company of Others by Julie Chinada? So that's 6. Okay. So that'll be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see what the Dice of Destiny have in store for shelf 3. Number 2. All right. So it's not whatever that one's called, Past Watch Redemption. Nor is it No Man's Land or Seahorse in the Sky or the Andromeda Strain or in the Company of Others, but it is Down Below Station, which is meant to be a classic, but I've recently read some quite negative reports about it, so I'm going to be intrigued to see what I make of it. We shall see. Right, well, this is shelf 58, and I've already got a CJ Cherry with Down Below Station, so it's a bit unfortunate this is mainly CJ Cherry, but I think we can probably scramble together 6. I can't actually reach them, so you have to take my word for it. What about the Collapsium? Let's see, maybe I can. We'll go with these three. And then Babel, I haven't read that. Upgrade, I haven't read. What else we got? Star Dragon, maybe? Alright, so that's those 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I really should read Foreigner because I've got a bunch of the follow-on books, and if I don't enjoy it, then I should get rid of them. But you know, one thing at a time. Dice of Destiny for shelf 58. Number 6. Right, so it's not Star Dragon or Ray Bradbury or Collapsium or Contact or Babel, but it is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. Now then, this is shelf 26, and so behind this little pile is my Venture SF collection, or most of it. So I think I will actually, since I haven't read any of them, I'm going to start at number 1. So that's We All Died at Breakaway Station, so that can be number 1. And then from this little pile here, it's an embarrassment of riches. I'm going to go with, well, let's go with those 5, keep things simple. So we'll push those 2 back. So it would be Galatea 2.2, Far From the Light of Heaven, All the Fiends of Hell, Moon of the Crusted Snow, and The Colour of Distance, any of which I'd be very happy to read. Okay, let's see what the Dice of Destiny have in store for shelf 26. Dice of Destiny for shelf 26. Number 6. So it's not We All Died at Breakaway Station or Galatea 2.2 or any of those guys, but it is The Colour of Distance by Amy Thompson. Seth will be pleased. Shelf 34. So this is shelf 34, which is mostly Ian MacDonald, which is excellent. So I've been busy collecting him, but I haven't read enough of his books. So let's see. Let's move those to one side for a minute. So Chagga, I certainly haven't read. Hearts, Hands and Voices, so those can be 2. I'll just move these over here for a minute. And then these 2 are sequels to Chagga, so it doesn't make sense to read those. And I've read all the Luna books, so the next one that makes sense is the Plains Runner, which is the first of his sort of steampunk YA books, which are meant to be very good. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then let's just move these back over here. So then what have we got here? Speaking in Tongues, I think, is short stories. Yeah, short story collection. Okay, so Speaking in Tongues, Menace from Farside is a novella set in the lunar world, and then we'll go with The Praxis, which is Walter John Williams. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fantastic. Okay, let's see what the dice have to say. Dice of Destiny for shelf 34. Number 2. So it's not Hearts, Hands and Voices or Plains Runner or Speaking in Tongues or The Menace from Farside or Praxis, but it is Chagga, which I think was published in the US as Evolutionary Shore, something like that. Very good. Overdue a read of that. Shelf 13. Now, shelf 13 is actually behind the Adam Roberts books. It's all the way up there. So you have to give me a minute while I remove the Adam Roberts books so we can see what's going on back there. Okay, so we've got a bit of John Varley, a bit of Kurt Vonnegut, it's all the V's, Vingy, both Werner and Joan, and then we've got some Ian Watson and a bit of David Webber, some H.G. Wells and some Scott Westfield. So let's see. So let's go with Titan, because I'd like to read those. Although I really must find a copy of Titan with this cover on. That's my favourite. Steel Beach is meant to be funny. I'm a bit trepidatious about Kurt Vonnegut, but we'll go with Galapagos, not least because it's on the Broderick and DeFilippo list. There's no point in me reading World's End because it's the second book after Snow Queen and I haven't read that yet. What about The Whitling? I haven't read any Ian Watson, so should we go with the very slow time machine. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, one more. What about this one? I hear a lot of fuss about Star of the Unborn. Let's see. So that's 6. Let's see what the Dice of Destiny have to say. Dice of Destiny for shelf 13. Number 3. So it isn't John Varley or Werner Vinge or Ian Watson or Franz Werfel, but it is dun, 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 Kurt Vonnegut. Wish me luck. 16. So this is shelf 16. It's jam-packed with stuff, including a bunch of Neil Ashers, which I should probably ignore this time around. I've read the first few back in the day, and I'm not in a rush to read more at this point. There's nowhere to put them. I actually need to decide if I'm going to keep. I've got about a dozen Neil Asher books, some of them on a different shelf, and they're all sitting there mostly unread. So I need to decide what I'm going to do. But that's a different story. That's a different video entirely. All right. So I've seen the movie of Children of Men, but not the. I haven't read the book, and I am interested in this as a recent acquisition, which is a retelling of 1984. So that can be 1 and 2. Then The Vanished Birds, I've heard is good. So that can be 3. All those can be 1, 2, 3. And then my dirty little book of Stolen Time can be 4. Little Eyes can be 5. And then I think I probably will go with Gathering Evidence by Martin McGuinness, who's the same author as In Ascension. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Happy days. On second thoughts, I'm going to sack off Simon Jimenez. So those can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to pick a Justine Robson. I think Silver Scream was her first. Let's go with that. All right, let's see what the Dice of Destiny have to say about shelf 16. Dice of Destiny for shelf 16. Number 3, again. It isn't either of these two, or Gathering Evidence, or Silver Screen, but it is my dirty little book of Stolen Time, which is on the Broderick and DeFilippo list. Happy days. 40. Well, once again, shelf 40 is behind this one. So this is shelf 41, and shelf 40 is all the way back there. So I have to remove all of these to get to it. So bear with. Okay, there they are in all their glory. So there's a bit of Gene Wolfe, but by no means all of it. A lot of John Wyndham, much of which I've read. And then some Zelazny, which I'm not massively keen on, I must say. But okay, let's see. So I did read some of The Island of Dr. Death and Other Stories, so maybe I could give that another go. I could reread Book of the New Sun. I have read it before, but supposedly benefits from a reread. I haven't read Consider Her Ways, or The Seeds of Time for that matter, and nor have I read Webb. So that's 3 I could read. So that's 5. And then we one more. All right, well, Neviness. Let's go with Neviness. It's a bit thick, but that's meant to be very good. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, I'm going to put Dr. Death back. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what about a Timothy Zahn instead? It seems just for a bit of brainless space opera. There we go, the Icarus Hunt. Okay, let's see what the dice have to say. Dice of Destiny for shelf 40. Number 6. So it's not Gene Wolfe or Wyndham or Timothy Zahn, but it is David Zindell's Neviness, which I'm very happy about. Awesome. 50. So The Ragged Astronauts is the first of this trilogy by Bob Shaw. So that can be 1. What about, and there's a bunch of books on the Broderick and DeFilippo list there. So I would like to read Alchemy of Stone, Steerswoman's Road, Secret City, I like the sound of, and that's Under the Skin, so that would be 5. So let's pick a Philip K. Dick as number 6. And I think it should probably be... Oh, has it gone? Yeah, It should probably be Do Androids Dream, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the dick. Dice of Destiny for shelf 50. Number 3. No, it is not The Ragged Astronaut, or The Alchemy of Stone, or The Steerswoman Road, which is a shame, or Under the Skin, or Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, but it is Carol M. Schwiller, The Secret City. Jolly good. 59. I think I'm going to choose the Cassandra Complex, which is on the Broderick and DeFilippo list. And then how about the Saturn Run, which I've heard mixed reports about. Max Brooks, so he wrote World War Z, I think. Supposedly, David Webber in Fury Born is meant to be a laugh. Holy Fire by Bruce Sterling, and I would like to read this actually. I've only got the first one. The second one's out, but the third one is not yet, so I might be starting something I can't finish. Actually, I'm going to give up Devolution and instead pick Gary Levisi, Mars Needs Books. Gary is a YouTuber who is an authority on vintage books in the US. And he's written a book, with at least one book that I know of, that he very kindly sent me, so I'm intrigued by that. So that can be number 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see what the Dice of Destiny have to say. Dice of Destiny for shelf 59. Number 2. And now back to shelf 59 again. It was a 2. So it's not Cassandra Complex or In Fury Born or The Cruel Stars or Holy Fire or, sorry Gary, Mars Needs Books, but it is Saturn Run, which I have heard mixed things about, but we'll see. Right, let's take a quick look at them in a bit more detail, in no particular order. Let's do the big books first. So we've got Ian McDonald's Chaga, which is kind of like a zone book. It's got a weird zone, if I remember rightly. A couple of Saturn's moons disappear, and then there's a meteor that strikes somewhere in Kenya. But where the meteor landed, the striking African landscape is given way to something equally beautiful and indescribably alien. A little like a multicoloured rainforest, a little like a drained coral reef, but mostly like nothing anyone has ever seen before. The alien flora deposited on Earth from the stars is spreading at a phenomenal rate. It's dubbed the Chaga in memory of the first African tribes to be engulfed and swallowed by the unceasing expansion. It destroys all plastics and man-made materials, and it moulds human flesh, bone and spirit to its own designs, as varied and incomprehensible as Chaga's own multitude of forms. Then there's a novella and a sequel which follow, set in the same kind of setting. It reminds me a little bit, just based on purely on the description alone, of The Crystal World by J.G. Ballard, in that's set in a forest, in an African country somewhere, and the plant life has been overtaken by something. So I don't know whether the similarities end there or not, or whether that was in Ian McDonald's mind when he wrote the book. I don't know. But okay, that sounds good. I'd be pleased to get on with a bit more Ian McDonald. Then we've got one I've wanted to read for ages, The Colour of Distance. This is an alien first contact tale. A scientist is stranded on a planet after she crash lands there or something. And she's there for years, and obviously she doesn't speak the language, she can't eat the food, she can't understand what anyone's saying, and they communicate in a completely different way via sort of luminescence on their skin. The skin is like a visual language, a bit like your octopus or your squid or whatever, that can change their skin colour. Something like that anyway. And she's effectively embedded in this society for several years, and then another ship from the Earth comes to visit and to rescue her. And that presents her with a dilemma, amongst other things. And it's been heartily recommended to me by a couple of people, not least of all Seth, who was delighted to see that I'd managed to acquire a copy. So I'm imagine even more delighted that I'm now reading it. Although, let's hope I don't find it massively disappointing. Then we've got one on the Broderick and DeFilippo list of 101 best novels. It's My Dirty Little Book of Stolen Time by Liz Jensen, a Danish author. And this follows I think 19th century strumpet. Charlotte supports herself and her lumpen sidekick by working as a prostitute in turn of the century Copenhagen. So it would be the late 19th century, I guess. But the course of harlotry never runs smooth. I know, it's a real bummer. And Charlotte's life is altered irrevocably when one hard winter she stumbles on an exciting new source of income. So she goes to be the housemaid or whatever of someone, of a wealthy widow. Transforming into cleaning ladies, the squabbling duo attack the dark abode, but soon discover that mysteries abound. The basement appears to be haunted, and there are rumours of desperate souls entering it, never to emerge. And so Charlotte and her sidekick turn detective, but finds herself outwitted by the mysterious controller of a demonic machine, which wastes no time in catapulting her into 21st century London, a baffling world of glass, tin, and labour-saving devices. So I know that sounds intriguing. Certainly Broderick and De Filippo found it noteworthy, and we'll see if I feel the same. And then we've got a chunker, big fat bastard, which I'm a little bit trepidatious about because I've heard extremely mixed results. So John Sanford is a thriller writer along the lines of Blake Crouch or Michael Crichton or John Grisham or Lee Child or whatever. And Catine, let's all just accept that that's just a ridiculous thing to call yourself. Catine is a photographer, I think, according to the bio here. Internationally known photographer and expert on photographic printing, blah, 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 blah. Author of more than 500 articles, etc., etc. A celebrated member of the science fiction community. He lives in San Francisco. So I don't know if he's written anything. Let's see, actually. Your man Catine is a science fiction aficionado, not necessarily an author. So I don't know how that creative partnership's really worked. One of the things I like about this book is that the cover looks nothing special, right? But until you realise that it's a peekaboo cover, and the hardback is printed on the boards, and there's a see-through kind of jobby in the cover. And the cover itself is not paper; it feels like almost like a plastic. I've covered it in a wrap anyway, but it's probably completely redundant. So I imagine has something to do with Saturn. Caltech intern notices an anomaly from a space telescope. Something's approaching Saturn and decelerating. It's always a bad sign. And there's then a race between the Americans and the Chinese to go figure out what's happening and determine if it's a threat or an opportunity, or both. And we got Blake Crouch, Upgrade. I've read, what's it called? Dark Matter, is it? The one, the Parallel Worlds tale, which was fine. I had fun while I was reading it. It was entirely forgettable. I couldn't even remember the name. But I did have fun while I was reading it. I think I've since ditched the copy of the book. I didn't feel like it was strong enough to warrant keeping in my collection. But so this I found in a trash shop for a couple of quid. And I'm imagining something of the same. You are the next step in human evolution. Yes, you. What if you could be capable of more? What if you could think sharper, read faster, memorize better, sleep deeper? For Logan Ramsey, it's happening. He's been targeted for an upgrade. The problem is it wasn't his choice. His genes have been hacked. So it sounds a little bit like, what's that movie? Limitless, with Bradley, somebody whose name I forget. I think it was Bradley, but that I did quite like. But I don't know how similar this really is, but we'll see. So I'm sure it's propulsive. It's allegedly intricately plotted. I should be the judge of that. But, for what I suspect will be a kind of quick and not terribly challenging read, I'm sure that'll be fine. Now, talking of what might be a challenging read, just from the point of being tedious, by some accounts at least, is C.J. Cherryh's Down Below Station, which I've wanted to have a copy of for ages, and I finally found one last year sometime, I think, and I've wanted to read it for ages as well. And it's set in her Alliance Union universe, I think. And she says that, the author of that, is that you could read any of her books in any order, certainly the Alliance Union ones. They're designed or written to be reasonably self-contained. So the premise for this, according to the blurb, is Earth was exhausted, introverted and feeble. Sounds like me. Man's colonization of the stars had formed a multiplicity of worlds far beyond its control. Its once mighty fleet was a remnant answering to none but itself. In the face of a Union attack, Earth was virtually powerless. Pell was the pivot. The holder of Pell's station had the key to Earth's defences, but Pell was neutral and wanted to stay that way. Pell's station became the focus of a titanic struggle, told in a sustained narrative, which for imaginative vision, tension and vivid details has few rivals in science fiction. I've noticed they've spelt vivid wrong on the back, which is not a good copy editing move, is it? So the criticisms I've heard of it are that it's kind of lots of politics and not a lot of action, lots of talking, not a lot of doing. So I don't know. We'll see. I am yet to read anything by C.J. Cherry, so we'll see how I get on. Then we've got Space Machine by Christopher Priest, which I'm sure I've heard somewhere along the way is not his finest hour, but this is it sounds like quite different to everything else that I've read by Christopher Priest anyway. It's a sort of mashup of, it's a sequel, it seems, to both The War of the Worlds and The Time Machine, and I don't know how direct a sequel it is, but Here we go, blah, 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 blah. For in deepest Surrey, during the 1890s, it was introduced to an extraordinary invention, a time machine. Before long, the impulsive Edward has stumbled on a discovery all of his own, that what moves through time can also sometimes move through space. But when Sir William's machine deposits him in a seething mass of voracious weed, he's more than a little perturbed to find himself on planet Mars. Now, Edward must summon all of his British courage and Victorian ingenuity to warn Earth of the approaching nightmare of the war between worlds. Meant to be entertaining and witty and exciting, so we shall see. And then I've got another one that I'm a tad trepidatious about, is Kurt Vonnegut's Galapagos. I've only read one Kurt Vonnegut book, Sirens of Titan, and I mainly just hated it. I thought it was pointless and really boring, and I couldn't wait to finish it. Human survivors of the nature cruise of the century. So I think something's happened in the rest of the world, and the survivors are few in number and living with the tortoises on the Galapagos Islands. Yeah, all other forms of humankind have ceased to exist, finally made redundant by their own pig brains. Sorry, their own prized big brains. All that survives of big brain culture is contained by Mandarax. 20,000 quotations and 1,000 languages. Unfortunately, or perhaps not, the tiny electronic marvel doesn't know Kankabono, language of the cannibal girls who are mother to the new humanity. It's satirical. It's kind of a riff on natural selection. Apparently his best novel since Slaughterhouse-Five. It all will make us sweat with pleasure, but also with suspense, apparently. So I don't know. So I will attempt to retain an open mind. I didn't like Sirens of Titan, and I suspect, on the evidence of that alone, that his style isn't going to work for me. But that is on the Broderick and De Filippo thingy bob list of 100 best novels. 101, I should say. So clearly it's merit worthy in their eyes, so I'll give it a bash. Then we've got a book which is not on that list, but is one that's been recommended to me many times. And I think I featured it in a 1990 space opera video back in this time last year, probably. Neviness by David Zindel, which is a bit of a chunker. There are several books that follow this. And it's got kind of a young hero, Mallory Ringes, a headstrong novitiate of the Order of Pilots, and against all odds he's penetrated the solid state entity and made a stunning discovery, a discovery that could unlock the secret of immortality, hidden amongst the alloy. But first he will lead a perilous quest through uncharted regions of thick space, where he will be asked to undergo the ultimate sacrifice, to discard the last vestiges of humanity in return for mankind's salvation. And it's apparently a thick, lush, vivid, panoramic view of evolved humans. Excellent hard SF, apparently. A brilliant novel, says Orson Scott Card. A victorious book, lingering and lithe and rich, says John Clute, he of the Science Fiction Encyclopedia. And one of the finest talents to appear since Kim Stanley Robinson and William Gibson. Perhaps the finest, says none other than Gene Wolfe. So, it's pretty strong testimonials on the back there. And it has been recommended to me, so I'm looking forward to that. It is a bit thick. Hopefully it won't be too challenging a read. And then finally, we've got Carol M. Schwiller, The Secret City, another book on the Broderick and De Filippo. So if I successfully read all of these, then I'll be ticking off, I think, 3 of the books on the list, sort of significantly advancing my reading of that list. And this is a first contact, I think, so some stranded aliens on Earth. The Secret City harbours a handful of aliens stranded on Earth, waiting for rescue and running out of time. Over years of increasing poverty, an exodus to the human world has become their only chance of survival. The aliens are gradually assimilating, not as a discrete culture, but rather as a source of cheap labour. So, much more than that, I don't know, but we'll give it a crack. So that's everything. Let me know if you've read any of those and whether you think any of them are any good. Is anything that you think I should really bump up the list to read first, then do let me know. But as always, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye for now.